listening to GMR Radio. And now, the Great Movie Radio Show.
All right, everyone. Quiet on the set. Places. We've got a show to make here. Are Chris and Gabe ready? They are. Okay, everyone. In 3, 2, 1, and... Coming to you live from sunny Orlando, Florida, it's the Great Movie Radio Show, a movie talk podcast starring Chris and Gabe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Great Movie Radio Show. Chris here. What's up, Gabe?
Hey, guys!
How you doing, bud?
I'm good.
Gabe, I am really excited, not only for our guests, we'll say guests, because there's 2 of them here with us today. We're going to go around the track, do top 5, but we're also going to talk with both of them about the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition that's coming out later tonight.
Woo!
Are you excited?
No, not at all. No, I'm very excited. I think we talked about it the last episode with the little spoiler at the end. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll have my Thanos cup and... no spoilers. I keep seeing posts, and I'm like, nope.
So, today's guests, we have Pat Dooley, and as somebody who is crashing our podcast, which we've never had someone just crash the podcast before. But
crasher? Is it podcast crasher? A wedding crasher? Mom! The meatloaf!
Ma, the meatloaf. It's Matthew Cram is crashing our episode. So what's up, guys? How's everything going in the world today?
Oh, in the world? Awful.
Don't answer it like that, though.
Everything is bad.
Have you been around?
I was just being polite, making conversation. We're on a show, so
I hate to break it to you guys, but it's not good.
No, I feel like 25 years down the road.
We had a hurricane 2 days ago. I lost power and water, and I just shrugged and went on with my day.
Yeah, that was like the 17th worst thing to happen this year.
The 17th? I don't want to know the other 16.
I feel like 25 years down the road, there's going to be an elective in colleges called 2020 101. It's just a year.
Maybe 2020 is 101. We just need to cycle out and try again. Other than that, things are great.
Things are awesome. There you go. We're here with Pat, and again, Cram is crashing. So all of our questions today are for Pat, but I'm sure Cram will have input, and that'll be fine, and we'll listen to both of you. It'll be wonderful.
We'll just randomly hear, really? That's what you chose? Okay.
So Pat, I didn't get a chance to work with you at the ride, unfortunately. What years were you there?
I was there September of 2006 until early 2010. I don't remember exactly when I left. I feel like it was like April or May when I went over to Kilimanjaro Safaris.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I was there almost 4 years.
And you did everything.
I did.
I'm looking at the list, and it's like things I didn't even know were a thing. So
Yep. Tour guide, gangster, bandit, trainer, character trainer, gun class facilitator, Great Movie Stride facilitator.
That's the one I'm jealous of. I didn't get to do that.
Oh, the Stride
we
was
used to have
awesome.
a lot of fun doing the Great Movie Stride.
We really did. We really did. We always managed to finagle it so that we were co-running it. Every time one of us got it, we would always, try and trade around, because there were always partnerships that worked well. Like Jeff and Nicolette always wanted to do it together. So if it was ever Jeff and me, then one of us would trade with the other. So
I can only imagine what me and Corey Marty's Stride.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!
You and Corey.
Yeah, I think that's everything. Did I leave anything? I know I gave you the complete list, but
you gave me the list. Yeah, it was a lot.
Show-obs.
Oh, show-obs. Yeah, I forgot show-obs.
See, everything.
I was also kind of the unofficial evac trainer. It seemed like every time somebody was on a day 3 of training and they wanted to teach evacs, they would always try and find me when I was tasking to help with that, because I don't know why. I guess I just was good at explaining that. Not that it ever actually worked in practice, because everybody just, as soon as those red lights start going off, just forgets everything they've ever learned.
Yeah, Pat, I like how one of your claims to fame is if there's a fire, I can help you with that.
Yes, that's right. With the fire, don't wait for the runners. Just go.
Just go. Oh man.
Oh, evacs.
Very, very thorough. So they should have just added the position for you to the rotation instead of tasking. Go help train evac and then come back for a new task or something.
I really just like drawing that circle on the whiteboard up in the training room. I just, any excuse I had to draw a circle with the lines going. I guess the circle was for casting director, wasn't it? But anyway,
I can't remember.
Also, I have some really good evac stories. Remind me later when we get to that.
I was gonna say, when we get to, or it might be for another episode. We'll see where we get, and how far we are. What was your favorite section at GMR?
I think my favorite show scene or my favorite role.
Yeah. What was your favorite show scene?
My favorite movie of all time is Casablanca, so that's always going to have kind of a special place for me. But I think in terms of just like full immersion of like being in that world, I loved Western. It also helped that Bandit was the cushiest gig on the ride. But like I just like as soon as you go through the door, like it looks, it sounds, it even kind of smells right for the Old West. Yeah, it's just the Imagineers knocked that scene out of the park. Every little detail is awesome.
Plus, when we were working at the ride, I mean, Gangster got a couch that faced a wall. For some reason, Bandit had 2 couches, a fridge, and like a whole setup down there.
Yeah.
Did you have any favorite memories of working on the ride?
Oh, so many.
Can you pin it down to like 1 or 2 and not like 800?
One that comes immediately to mind is on my I think it was my 25th birthday. There was a convention, which, you know, for those of us that worked those, means, you know, after the park closed, somebody rented out the park, and, you know, 2 or 3 rides were left open. It was usually Sunset, Toy Story, and us, and sometimes Star Tours. For some reason, in their infinite wisdom, the scheduler put 7 gangsters upstairs during a convention, which if you ever worked a convention, you know that means that 3 out of every 4, 4 out of every 5 shows going through is dead.
I was gonna say that's a lot of you.
So for this like 3-hour convention, the 7 of us each did maybe 2 shows apiece. This was August of 2007, so I had kind of bounced back and forth between GMR and Star Tours. It's a long story, but in all that time, I had never managed to get Bandit trained. One of the other gangsters that was up there with me was Jessica Glad, who's now Jessica Cote. Jessica was my day 1 trainer at the ride, and for my birthday, she gave me a set of Western-themed Lincoln logs. And so that night in Gangster, the 7 of us are like on the floor playing like cowboys Western scene with Lincoln logs as tour guide after tour guide comes through with a dead show, gangster, dead show. Just waiting for like, oh, somebody's spieling. Okay, hold on, let me put on my jacket. But yeah, no, that was super fun. I wish I could remember everybody that was up there that night, but there were so many of us, and managers kept begging us to like, will somebody please ER? Like, we don't want to have to pay all 7 of you. We're like, no, can't make us. So we just made the easiest money of our lives that night.
Playing Lincoln Logs.
Heck yeah.
Man, I need to try taking Lincoln Logs to work and see what happens. Do you got any cast members or trainers that you remember and you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah, I mean, I really hit the jackpot in the trainer department. I mean, like I mentioned, I had Jessica Glad as my day 1, and then my mom. I always called Jessica my birth mom that abandoned me, and then my Kim Zelm did my days 2 through 4, and then I assessed a day early with Therese Rodabaugh.
Therese, yeah.
Therese is the best. Also, I have a great Therese story for later on. If maybe when we get to Bandit, we can take a little detour because it's very Bandit related.
We'll go down Therese Lane and talk about.
It's a doozy. Matt knows this story. Yes, and then
Matt also forgot the story, so I'd like to.
You'll remember now, won't you?
now it will be recorded for posterity. I think we're outside the statute of limitations where anybody can get in trouble for this one. But just as a tease for later.
I was going to say, none of us work there anymore. It's not even a thing, so I think you're okay.
That's fair. That's fair. I also got really lucky with my trainees. My first trainee was a British ICP named Christina Kelly, who was just great. She was deer in headlights, afraid of everything, because new people at GMR always are. But now she was smart as a... What's the expression? Smart as a whip? That doesn't sound right. Whatever. Anyway, she's smarter than that sentence was. And she picked up on everything really quick and made me just look awesome. Like, I looked like the best trainer in the world after one trainee because Christina was so great. To the point where my second trainee was 2 trainees. They gave me 2 CPs for my next one, which was Gemma Richardson, who's now Gemma Thomas, and April Butler, who's now April Ure. Or Ure. Actually, I've never met her husband. I don't know how her married name is pronounced. Sorry, Ape. And then they were awesome. So, like, I just had this great run of... I don't know that I could possibly name all of my trainees, but, like, David Van Cleve was one of mine. Kelly Slay.
DVC!
DVC. DVC was going to be the first of my trainees to give me grandkids, but then he left before he trained anybody. Blake Holland, I think, is the only one of my kids that actually became a trainer. And
he was a trainer when I was there. Yeah.
So I have a couple of grandkids from Blake. Blake McKinley I trained. Chris Friend I trained. I got in a little trouble training Chris Friend because we were opening one EMH morning, and I forgot that costuming doesn't open early on EMH mornings, so we did our opening checklist with me in cargo shorts and a t-shirt because I couldn't get in to pick up a costume because I forgot. I caught a little flack for that. Oh god, I know I'm missing people. I apologize. Meg Trikel, who's now Meg Zagardo.
The fact that you know everyone's name who has changed from marriage or just life, it amazes me.
I like to keep in touch with my kids.
Yeah, Gabe, you want to do top 5? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now it's time for top 5.
Awesome. So we're going to jump into your top 5 now. You touched on your first one a little bit, and obviously it was part of the ride, Casablanca.
Yes.
Why is it your favorite movie of all time?
It is, to me, it's one of the only perfect movies ever made. And it's one of those kinds of movies that just can never be made again. It's based, the way the studio system was set up back then, like, everything was based on who had whose contract. Like, the fact that they were able to get Humphrey Bogart at his Bogartiest, and they didn't even want Bogart because he had always played a gangster, and they didn't think he could be a romantic leading man, and he killed it. And Ingrid Bergman is amazing, and Paul Hanreid is amazing, and Michael Curtiz just knocked it out of the park as the director, and the score is great. Dooley Wilson playing the piano, no preferential treatment because of the name, but as Sam, like, Dooley Wilson is great. It's got a perfect script, perfect performances, perfectly shot. It's everything that you want out of a movie experience, and it just never gets old.
Awesome, yeah.
I mean, it's very, very old. It's almost 80 years old. But
I was going to say, it's old.
1942, yeah, it's 78 years old.
Yeah, and I was going to preference, I feel like after I said it and you started speaking, I was like, I felt like I sounded judgmental. I'm not judging you at all. This is judge-free zone. But I was like, why is it your favorite? Tell me. Why? No.
Why this one? It's everyone's favorite. Why is it yours?
Why is the greatest movie ever made your favorite?
So we're going to jump into number 2. I feel like maybe I just like blanked on it, and quarantine has messed with my mind. But I feel like we haven't really touched on this movie a lot. The Princess Bride.
See, if Casablanca is the only perfect movie ever made, then Princess Bride is like 99 and 44/100% perfect. William Goldman is probably my favorite screenwriter ever. I'm sorry, Aaron Sorkin, but I think it's probably true. You're better on TV.
Oh wow, Pat, you're going to get the Aaron Sorkin?
I will take
That's
any
not
Sorkin.
you, man.
I know. I still want to be Aaron Sorkin when I grow up. I mean, I'm 37, so like I don't have a whole lot of time left.
When I grow up.
Like I'm running out of time rapidly. But I mean, William Goldman he's adapting his own novel, first of all. So he understands the story, he understands these characters better than anybody. And then it just has it's a big thing for me. I can always judge how well I enjoyed a movie based on how long afterwards I'm quoting it. And I'm still quoting Princess Bride, 30 years after the first time I saw it. It's so sharply written. The performances are all really good. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Like, that's one of the iconic lines in cinema history. And Princess Bride has 30 of those.
I don't know if you saw recently, they did all these celebrities put all their clips together and I wouldn't say recreate the movie, but did a 30-minute bit with everybody doing parts of the movie, and they dressed up, and I was like, okay, that was really awesome.
Yeah, wasn't that for that Quibi or whatever it is?
Was that what it's for? I can't.
I
remember.
thought
watching it, and they're like, oh, that's cool.
I think Edgar Wright.
They had Jack Black. They had a bunch of famous people.
Yeah, I think Edgar Wright directed or produced or sent everyone, hey, do this part, and they submitted it back, and they made it that Quibi mobile TV network or whatever. They made a thing of it, a movie out of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
I mean, that's a really good idea, getting a whole bunch of people that are isolated in quarantine to record bits of a performance and then cut it all together for the consumption of the masses.
Yeah, we should do something
people
like
got together
that.
And did their favorite Disney attraction.
Yeah,
and
we
redid
should
the whole attraction.
Yeah, I don't. It's so weird. It sounds familiar. I think I know what you're talking about.
Could we make this happen today? Could it? Yeah. Do you guys think it could be a thing today?
Okay, everybody, turn off your lights. I'm pretty sure I have Sounds Dangerous memorized. So, wait, what are we talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it's really cool. Some of the things celebrities have done during this quarantine, like that. Plus, all the script readings Josh Gad has done with all these casts and stuff. So
yeah, well, and Edgar Wright just did a table read of Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yes.
Pretty recently. That was great.
You
didn't get everybody back, unfortunately, but they got enough.
I was a big fan of Taika Waititi reading James and the Giant Peach for charity and having different celebrities join him on YouTube reading the book and being the characters. It was really fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I haven't seen that one.
It's really good. Really good.
Awesome. So we are going to jump into your third movie, which I just recently watched, but Don't Call Me Shirley, Airplane 2, Michael Scott. No, but yeah, I recently just watched it, and it's hilarious. I love it. So, Airplane, the first one, not the second one.
Yeah.
Scott messed it up.
Second one, not as good.
But why is it your favorite?
It's one of those movies that, I got introduced to it probably too early. I didn't get most of the jokes as a kid, but I saw it made, my parents laugh, and so I knew it had to be funny, so I laughed too. And then,
peer pressure.
Well, exactly. I mean, there was a lot of jokes that I probably shouldn't have been exposed to, but they went over my head. I didn't know what was going on. I just thought, Don't Call Me Shirley was funny, and I was a huge basketball fan, and so Kareem Abdul-Jabbar pretending he wasn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was funny.
Yes.
And then when we got our first DVD player, that was one of the first DVDs we ever rented. And it's just that, so I was probably 13, 14 at that point, because as we've established, I'm old. I fell in love with it now that I was getting the jokes, and it's like Casablanca. It's one of those I can go back and watch over and over again. find something a small joke hidden in the background I'd missed before. And it's also, again, I go back to the quotable thing. But even on top of that, it has a special place in my heart because Matt and I, as I was leaving GMR in 2010, we made a parody, an homage to Airplane set on the Great Movie Ride called Cram. So that's always, I have fond memories when I watch either of those, either watching Airplane and thinking of Tram or watching Tram and thinking of Airplane.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, when you think about Airplane, I mean, that started all those parody movies, which really dwindled off and became kind of silly and stupid after a while. But Airplane really paved the way. And then doing Tram with Pat, I mean, that was amazing. To make that same kind of comedy and storyline, but have it be a $9 double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And, instead of whatever they were eating on the plane, and like to make it acclimated to what we were experiencing was hilarious.
Get me Brett Kramer.
Oh man!
If you guys haven't watched Tram yet, you should. Not just because I want the views on our YouTube page.
Yes.
But...
I was gonna say you should put it on the Once a Movie Writer YouTube page. Plug.
Or just send it over to us after this in our little group chat. I
Yeah,
love
cool.
watching the old GMR Icon and Icon Award skits and like all the funny ones. Like I still crack up at the Oz Budweiser commercial. Wow,
yeah, that one's great.
Wait,
Yeah, that's
what?
from,
I have not seen
2006,
this.
I think.
Oh man!
It's the What's Up commercials, but with the Munchkins.
Oh no!
It's so good. It's so good. I think that was my first year. That was my first Oscars.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I'm pretty sure that was 06. It might have been 05, and I watched it later, but...
Yeah, I was hanging out with like Nicolette, Jared, and Jeff, and they just pulled up all these old ones. Out of the old ones, besides any of the ones I've done, that one and the musical one with Nicolette and Wes, and all the musicals popping out the door. And
Yeah, Music and Mayhem.
There it is. Yeah. So
that was Timmy Walzak made that one, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and he's editing the finale film for Quarantine Edition. So shout out to Timmy.
Nice. So number 4, A Knight's Tale.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, never seen it. I've heard a lot of good things, especially that's with Heath Ledger, right?
Heath Ledger and Alan Tudyk.
Okay. I'm thinking of the right movie.
Oh man.
Why is it your favorite movie, and what resonates with it?
This one, I think, one, it's great, but two, it hit me at like a very formative time in my life. It was the summer after my freshman year in college. So, like, I had just made a whole new group of friends that we were hanging out with. I had just started, like, my first real paid job that wasn't just, like, hey, my mom's friend's son is getting married, go point a camera at it for an hour. And that was one of the first movies that group of friends went and saw together. It was also like my intro to a lot of actors who would go on to become some of my favorites. Alan Tudyk, Paul Bettany. It's got a really great cast. But I also feel part of the reason I put it on the list is because I just don't feel like people talk about it enough. But everybody I've ever talked to that's seen it loved it. At least the ones that got it. I feel like it was maybe 10 years too early for a lot of people. It is, it's set in, medieval times. Paul Bettany plays Chaucer, like this is, knights and jousts and stuff. But it has a classic rock soundtrack with Queen and Bachman Turner Overdrive and Sly and the Family Stone. Like it's got a great, not contemporary, but it's basically like what Guardians of the Galaxy was for sci-fi, A Knight's Tale was for medieval stories, and it's just so funny. It's another super quotable movie. It's called A Lance. Hello, but it's great. I love it. And until The Dark Knight, it was my favorite Heath Ledger performance. But then
Which
everything.
I did. I've seen that movie, and I actually watched it today at work on breaks.
Dark Knight.
Yeah, they were playing it in the break room, so I was like, oh man, I forgot how good this was.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll jump to the number 5, and I was, just recently went to Chris's theater and watched this in XD, and I gotta say, it still holds up. The Empire Strikes Back.
I'm sorry, Godfather fans, but Empire Strikes Back is the greatest sequel ever made.
Woo!
It's not perfect. None of the Star Wars films are perfect. There are little places you can nitpick, and some people have made entire careers out of nitpicking Star Wars movies. But it takes everything that you loved about the first one, the relationships, the characters, the world building, and just kind of blows it all up. It turns what was just kind of a fun sci-fi adventure romp into a deep, depressing, sad character study, but that still has laser swords and spaceships and giant snow monsters. I don't know. It's like the perfect example of what you can do with a sequel. I think Aliens does this really well too, where you take the established world and you turn it into something entirely different. And Empire is just so great. It has the great top 5 best plot twists of all time. More great dialogue, super quotable. It's really, really, really good. And I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and it's my favorite Star Wars.
Where else can you insert the use of an ice cream churner into the Star Wars universe, if not
Right.
The Empire Strikes Back?
Just have somebody running with it under their arm in the background while you're evacuating.
Which is funny, you say
Didn't
that.
They brought that back in The Mandalorian, I think.
They did. They used it as the container that he had the Beskar in. Yeah, they actually referenced the guy because he became like a big character that like Star Wars Celebration and Comic-Con goers would dress as, and they gave him a name, they gave him a title. They did this thing where it was like the running of whatever his character's name is, so they would all run around in a line together holding the ice cream churner. I actually noticed recently watching it at the same theater, because I worked there, and when Luke is leaving Dagobah, he loads one onto his X-Wing fighter.
Oh, does he really?
So it's like you can barely see it because it's like dark underneath the ship where his little cargo hatch is. So I had like this idea that he is smuggling like black market Dagobah slow churned ice cream, and that guy is trying to save it. So later we see him like running, trying to save this black market ice cream commodity that's hard to... I told you this story, Gabe, didn't I?
Yeah,
I would love episode 10 to just be like, it's all about ice cream.
Many Bothans died to get us this soft serve.
All right, we're writing this. All 4 of us. I think we need to pin this. We've got a good... It would be a great, a little Star Wars short.
Matt and I made a Star Wars short about the fighter pilots after the Battle of Endor trying to figure out what their new job is going to be.
Oh,
and it turned out to be Star Tours.
What?
It's called The Story of Star Tours. It's also
wonderful.
on our YouTube channel.
I gotta see this. I'm just gonna watch all these later.
We're just gonna spam your Instagram.
We'll just keep linking these videos. I'm okay with it. We need to do something in the off season. We'll just keep posting them to keep people interested.
We'll tweet them at Disney, and hopefully they'll end up on Disney Plus for other people to watch.
Yeah, maybe.
Or we'll all wind up sued.
As long as they don't charge people an extra $30 to watch it on top of that. We won't go there.
Yikes. It's time to go around the track. Ready when you are, CB.
So, anyways, I think it's a good time to go around the track, don't you, Gabe?
Oh yeah, let's get on this thing.
Awesome.
I don't know what that was.
I don't either. So, as we were talking, we've got the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition coming out later today, as far as when this episode airs. And Pat, you've been doing the editing for it, but you also provide the ride audio for the project. And
Yes,
I was cracking the joke earlier that all these people are doing these different parts of the ride, and you just did audio. Now's your chance to actually go around and do your own Great Movie Ride. So
All right, you want me to start spieling from Doc? I can do the whole
no,
thing.
we're good. We're just gonna go right into musical and a movie I actually got to see in theater back when I lived in Georgia, and there's this little indie theater downtown Atlanta. I forgot what it was called, but I saw Yellow Submarine there too. They actually did a Beatles weekend, so I saw them both that week. But Help, the Beatles' Help is your second favorite musical. On the list that you provided with us, and it's also, oddly enough, the only Beatles movie I don't own currently. But I love it. It's a classic, and it was fun to see as a kid. For me to see these musicians that they're popular with their music, but they're also doing film, and they're taking their music, and it was something that was a new experience for me as a kid. That there were others out there who was doing it, but that was my first experience in seeing music translating to film.
Yeah.
So what makes it a favorite for you?
I mean, I was talking about Casablanca and how it's the kind of movie that can never be made again. Help is very much like that. Like, we're all too young to remember it, but like the Beatles, there was nothing bigger than the Beatles during the height of Beatlemania. Like, these were probably the four most famous men on the planet. They had, at one point, they had the top 5 songs on the Billboard Top 100. Like, all 5 were Beatles songs from the same album. They had, 21 number 1 songs or whatever. But then they decided, well, we're not satisfied with just that. Let's expand the brand. And it turns out they have incredible comedic timing.
They do.
Hard Day's Night was their first movie, and it was great. But Help was really... Hard Day's Night was more about them kind of, being the Beatles. This was almost like a James Bond spoof romp thing where Ringo gets sent a sacrificial ceremonial
That's
ring.
right. I was like,
this.
what is... I know it involved Ringo, but I was like,
Yeah.
what is it that he got? And it was the ring. That was right.
Yeah, a fan sends him a ring in the mail, and they're doing a concert on TV, and the priest is getting ready to sacrifice this woman who's been painted red, and then he realizes she's not wearing the sacrificial ring, and as luck would have it, somebody's watching the concert on TV, and he sees the ring, so they go off after the Beatles, and hilarity ensues. Help is one of my favorite albums of all time. It has several of my favorite Beatles songs. And just the way they're not woven into the story at all. It's just like, okay, well, we're in the Alps. Hey, let's all sing Ticket to Ride. Like, there's no narrative reason for these songs to happen, but they're just really friggin' great songs. So I'm not mad at it when they're all sitting around the apartment and John starts playing You Got to Hide Your Love Away. Like, it's just really great music, 4 really charismatic, funny leads. A really dumb premise that is just pulled off perfectly. But aside from Singing in the Rain, it's my favorite musical.
It fits their humor, for sure.
Yes.
And you were saying about Hard Day's Night. I remember seeing that one too, and the running joke about Paul's grandfather being very clean.
He's very clean, yeah.
It made me, no matter how many times I watch that movie, I just laugh, and I'm like, these guys are genius. Not just, and it's the writing. The writing is what transcends, and you see it in their music, you see it in their films, and they're just brilliant. And then, of course, Yellow Submarine is my favorite. It's my favorite.
It's hard to pick, right?
It's my favorite drawn animated movie of all time. If you go to that style of animation,
okay, I can see that.
I love just the characters and the story, and like I said, when I was a kid and my parents showed me the Beatles, you love the music, right? Yeah, they have movies too. What? Are you kidding me? Show me! Oh my God, these are incredible! And just I ate them up. I ate them up like candy, and they were just there's nothing like them. And there's been musicians who have tried to make movies like they have, or to theme things like they have, and I don't think anyone could accomplish that.
I think the last band that was anywhere close to that level that tried, and to a degree succeeded, was the Spice Girls. I really can't think of anything else that was.
Thank you for saying to a degree.
To a degree, yeah.
Actually, no lie. They had the legit Alan Cumming in that film.
Yeah, Alan Cumming was in that movie.
They did.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Spice World. Don't get me wrong, Spice World is not a good movie, but it's the closest thing that's happened in my lifetime to the Beatles.
Fair enough.
Because the Spice Girls were. What's that?
I'm offended. It's on my top 5. No.
I had to think. Oh man, no! I literally was like, "Wait a minute!" Wasn't it?
It does have some genuinely good jokes, which is more than can be said for a lot of other movies. Like there are, I mean, their bus is a TARDIS. Like that's like the most cheeky British joke you can possibly do, having the bus be bigger on the inside. But it's still funny, and the girls all have, they're all charismatic. They all have good comedic timing. It's just, they're not the Beatles.
For the record, Elton John was in that movie. Elvis Costello was in that movie. Roger Moore.
I was just about to say, I think Roger Moore was in it. Was Roger Moore the villain? I haven't seen this movie in 20 years, and for some reason...
Yes, and Pat, totally after this, we're watching Spice World together.
Okay. Wait, am I going there, or are you coming here? Or are we...
We could just have a GMR show Spice World watch party.
The internet exists. We're going to do it on the internet.
Okay.
Now we get to do the fun part, which I almost completely didn't think about, because we were just having fun talking about Spice World. Don't know how that happened. What scene from Help would you put in the musical?
Probably Ticket to Ride. Either Ticket to Ride with them just like horsing around in the Alps with the piano on the side of the mountain, and them all learning how to ski. Which, by the way, how big a stars do you have to be to say to the studio, like, I really want to go skiing? You're like, okay, well, we'll make up an excuse for you to go skiing. But either Ticket to Ride or the end, because they do Help a couple of times. The ending version of Help where they're on the beach and it's like the final chase. And the ring keeps changing hands, and the guy keeps almost killing people with the scimitar, but turns out they don't have the ring, so he can't sacrifice them. And the guy pops out of the water looking for the white cliffs of Dover. I would probably go the finale of Help. Would probably be the most visually interesting on the ride.
There you go. 2 things. Now I just want a Beatles ride to just go through and experience their entire library on a ride. That would be awesome. And number 2, I need to watch Help again, because it's been a long time, and just us talking about it, I was like, man, I remember how much I love this freaking movie.
I feel like A Hard Day's Night and Yellow Submarine get all the attention when you talk about the Beatles movies, but I feel like Help is like the tightest. Like it's definitely the silliest, but I don't know, it feels like the most Beatlesy.
There's a different distinction between all of their films, and that one just felt more like a movie, like a just a silly movie with music.
Yeah.
Anywho, we'll go ahead and talk about another musical on your list, because musical did have multiple movies, and I haven't seen this one in a long time. I love Ewan McGregor, and one of the songs came up on my shuffle the other day, and I was like, I really need to sit down and watch this again. Moulin Rouge is your number 3 favorite musical on the list you gave us, and what about that movie just makes you sing? See what I did there?
No. For starters, nobody wants me to sing.
All right, that's the end of our show, folks.
let's disavow everybody of that notion.
There you go.
Right away. Nobody wants to hear my singing voice. There's a reason I never did the musicals in high school. Also, crippling anxiety. But Moulin Rouge is, for better or worse, kind of the godfather of the modern jukebox musical. Like, I feel like every major band of the last 40 years has had a Broadway show about them. ABBA, The Temptations, they've made a Beatles jukebox musical and Across the Universe. They, Rock of Ages, like, all of that can, in some form or another, be traced back to Moulin Rouge. Again, for better or worse, whether you like those or not. A lot of times I don't, but I love Moulin Rouge. Because one, it's the music that they use is like my music sweet spot. It's all before my time, but I love Elton John. Elton John is great. And, The Police and Bowie, like, just all of the music is so great. Queen, and just unlike Help, where it was the songs were just kind of incidental to the plot, like, okay, we're all sitting around, let's sing You Got to Hide Your Love Away. In Moulin Rouge, the songs all sound like they were written for the movie in the way that a good musical's songs do. Like the scene where Christian thinks that he's been betrayed by Satine and that she's going off with the Duke, but they have this, he has to give this one last great performance, not realizing she's going to die. Sorry, spoilers for Moulin Rouge.
Yeah,
Whoopsie.
Spoilers.
A 19-year-old movie, sorry. And he's singing The Show Must Go On, which it has so many levels, because that's also...
Undertones, man.
Yeah, because
Undertones.
Freddie Mercury wrote that song about him dying of AIDS while on tour with Queen. It just works on so many levels. I will admit, it's probably not... In terms of just, a straight movie, it's not great, but it really is, in terms of, musicals, it hits a sweet spot for me in terms of the song selection and just the way it all kind of ties together. Plus, it's Ewan McGregor, and I have never not liked a Ewan McGregor movie.
Thank you.
He was in
Yes.
The Island.
Obi-Wan Kenobi singing is never bad.
True. That's very true.
He's a good singer. You just brought it up, and I was like, oh, The Island. The only guff I give that movie, other than it being a Michael Bay film, and his name being all over it, and was the composer, Steven Jablonsky. Oh, God. So the soundtrack, the theme of The Island, is literally an original composition he wrote for the Transformers film. And let me rephrase this. It was in Transformers, on that soundtrack. First time you've ever heard it, unless I just didn't hear an earlier piece of his and he copied it again. But he took one of the main songs from Transformers and made it the theme for The Island. And that got under my skin so much.
I mean, that's just lazy. Yeah. I get wanting to have, a signature style. You can always tell a John Williams score, even though, Jaws and Harry Potter don't sound anything alike, but don't be stealing your own stuff.
Which I guess I have a difference of opinions on, because another composer I like, John Murphy, he did it for Sunshine, and I want to say 28 Days Later, but he changed the style of the same composition, whereas Jablonsky literally kept it note for note, same instruments, same thematic style, and presented it the same as the theme for The Island. And I wanted to go off. And there's a reason I don't own any Michael Bay movies, honestly, anyways. But, yeah. Okay, that was my 2 cents about that. You said Island, and I was like, oh my god, that movie triggered. What scene from Moulin Rouge would you put in musical as well?
I would see. I don't want to do the finale back to back. Although the huge, the play's the thing moment where they're telling the truth in their play. But it's I would probably go the scene where they're all in Satine's room having to pretend like she wasn't just with Christian when the Duke comes in, and they do Spectacular. Ooh. I think that's a small enough scale scene that it would work well on the ride. It doesn't need some big elaborate set, because most of the musical numbers in in Moulin Rouge, you would need a Tarzan-sized room to do. I
was ready for "Cause I Can." I love that one.
Also great, but again, that's also a massive scale.
Massive, I know. That's the one that popped up on my shuffle the other day, and I was like, "Oh man, this movie! I forgot."
Wait, who says we have a budget? We're just going, 60 miles an hour, just no budget. You do what you want.
Also, Budget Cuts, another movie Matt and I made about the Great Movie Ride. But anyway, I swear that's the last one.
We're just
I've seen that one.
How many times can we harmlessly plug what's coming? The inevitable, it's happening. How many?
What are you talking about? Are you talking about the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition debuting tonight on YouTube?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think, Pat, they're talking about the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition. I don't know if you heard about it.
I did. The Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition. I've heard it's debuting tonight on YouTube.
Wait, are we talking about that quarantine edition of the Great Movie Ride?
Yeah, it's debuting tonight on YouTube.
Yeah, some sort of quarantine thing happened, end of the world, and so the Great Movie Ride made an edition of it.
Every other civilized country on the planet's going to be very confused about why we didn't all just get together to shoot it, and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's Americans."
I need to get with our agents who we don't have; they don't exist. That's why you were booked for this episode, right? Is that kind of, or it just kind of fell into place? Something, I don't know. The Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition brought us all together.
Why? Because the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition debuting tonight on YouTube?
I think that's what it was. I think that's in my notes here.
I'm going to call it. That's enough for now.
Okay. So we're going to go into mob crime. And your number one favorite has not been talked about on our podcast at all. And it's very ironic because I almost watched this at work today. Pulp Fiction.
I'm a big Tarantino fan. I'm a big Tarantino's work fan.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite.
He's a strange dude.
He is.
And he's got a thing about feet that makes me real uncomfortable. But Pulp Fiction is just about as... I hate using the word perfect. I've already used it like 4 times. It's the textbook version of interlacing stories. Ideal.
You want to say ideal?
Sure, ideal. I like ideal. It is... but hey, I'm the judge of what I want to say. But Pulp Fiction takes all of these stories that in the moment feel like there's no connection between them. You've got this movie over here with Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, being hitmen, talking about burgers. And then you've got this story about, Bruce Willis deciding not to throw a fight and then stealing a guy's motorcycle. And then you've got this other story, and, there's a hold up at the diner, and there's, the weird sex dungeon, and it all overlaps in ways that you just don't see coming. And it's told out of order, so even if you think you do know what's happening, you don't, because, this must have happened earlier, because, again, spoilers, the movie's 26 years old. John Travolta died, but he's in this scene, so this must have happened... I don't know, it's twisty, and all of the stories alone are great, and then just, kind of the patchwork that Tarantino made out of it is just, it's
delightful.
It is. It's incredible.
Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie.
That's true.
That's right.
That's true at that point. Yeah, it was Miramax and Touchstone, right? That's a Disney movie.
What scene from Pulp Fiction, out of all the twisties, would you like to put into our mob crime segment?
I mean, what I would like to put in it is Bruce Willis coming down the stairs and killing Zed and the Gimp, but I don't think we would have been able to get away with that. So probably
on our version you could.
On our version,
yeah, why not?
Yeah,
but it would probably be the dance, the twist contest at Jackrabbit Slim's, just because I really want to see an A1 animatronic doing the Watusi.
That would be fun.
I don't know, that shot in the car when he accidentally shoots Harvey Keitel. Maybe not Harvey Keitel, but whatever that guy was.
They take him to Harvey Keitel to clean it up.
I mean, there's different parts where we could add all of this. It could be just the whole gangster area.
You could do a whole trackless ride, weaving in and out of the show scenes, like Rise of the Resistance style.
I haven't been on it, Hush.
I've only seen video.
But
I haven't actually.
The trick is every time you go on the ride, it's in a different order.
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting. But I'm curious now, because you said you're going to put that dance scene in. So does the gangster part of the dance scene and decides to leave it and just take over the vehicle? I'm like, I'm not going to win anyways. Let me just take over. We could tour guide get off and have a dance off.
That would be that would be a fun interactive. He said animatronic though, but that would be the kind of a fun spot to hand it off.
Well, no. Yeah, no, I'm saying, you have that animatronic there, but what you don't know is there's a gangster waiting there, and he's just twisting away in the corner, and the tour guide's like, you know what? gonna dance too.
What?
Just gets off the vehicle, dances, and boom. I don't know. I'm weird.
Somebody runs over and grabs John Travolta's coat with the balloon full of heroin in the pocket and hops on and just ruins the ride.
I guess I'm gonna hop off and dance, and then Gabe's gonna take the ride. And when we come back, our gangster character Gabe will take us into Western. So we'll be right back on the Great Movie Radio Show.
Shut up, you two. You want to blow our cover? Psst. Hey, you. You're listening to the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe. Don't nobody move until we get back, or else, if you know what I mean.
Warning. Remain on this podcast. The advertisement you are experiencing is extremely dangerous. Proceed with caution.
Autumn Star Entertainment is an independent producer of movies and video. Their goal is to provide Hollywood-level entertainment for low to no budget. Check them out on Facebook.com/AutumnStar Entertainment or on Twitter at AutumnStarENT.
Hey, what are you looking at? Hit the subscribe button to catch more of the Great Movie Radio Show starring Chris and Gabe, and maybe you won't get hoiked.
Here they come, boss!
You look at that, a red light. Running a red light's against the law, and I would never break the law. No more red light.
Hundreds of movie writers from around the globe have come together to recreate the magic of the Great Movie Ride during the past few months to bring you the Great Movie Ride, Quarantine Edition.
Well, gee, Mr. Kent, that'd be swell.
Witness the spectacular recreation of the ride from entrance to exit.
The Great Movie Ride brings these movies to life and puts you right in the middle of the action.
Danger. The emergency destruct system is now activated. The ship will detonate in T-minus 10 minutes.
It's time to take a magical journey into the movies once more.
Tarzan, wait! They're our friends, Owani.
The Great Movie Ride lives on in The Great Movie Ride, Quarantine Edition, coming soon.
Time for Chris and Gabe, hosts of the Great Movie Radio Show, to get back to work. I better lay low for a while, the heat's on. On second thought, I could go for some popcorn.
And now, the Old West.
Damn it.
Two of Hollywood's legendary stars, Clint Eastwood and John Wayne.
I'm leaving that in the episode, by the way. That was awesome. That's
There's
just
no
going to
other
lead
way.
us back in from the ad. It's going to be Dave Fesky and then you doing that. It's going to be great, I promise.
All I was gonna say was I'm still doing the twist, but that's way better. We're just gonna jump right into your favorite Western movie. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Now, if you've listened to the podcast before, I'm not a Western person, never seen it, but so we'll just you talk about the movie, give me a little synopsis, and then jump into why it's your favorite.
So, you said you like Princess Bride, right?
Yeah.
This is a William Goldman Western.
Okay.
It's the same screenwriter. It's, maybe the two most charismatic leading men of the era, Robert Redford and Paul Newman, both at or near the top of their game. Because, like The Sting might be peak Newman and Redford, but this is real close.
They're neck and neck.
They're both basically equally great. But it's quippy, it's funny, it somehow makes a bicycle ride romantic, but not in a weird sappy way. It's super quotable. Next time I say let's go someplace like Bolivia, let's go someplace like Bolivia. It has one of the great downer endings of all time, but that's also heroic and operatic. I don't know. It's just
and also it led to the most salad dressing of any Western.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, John Wayne's Own did not sell nearly as well.
I have Newman's Own barbecue sauce in my fridge right now.
Newman's Own, like everything Newman's Own is good.
It is.
Like, even like their frozen pizzas are good.
Right? And I love the charitable aspect of it, of course. The fact that his face matches like what it is, like the Caesar dressing. He looks like Caesar.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Such good branding.
It really is.
Very, very smart.
I was gonna say, and of course, the Burt Bacharach soundtrack is.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Like it's got great music, it's got great dialogue. It has that iconic clip from finale of the two of them on the cliff. Like the whole scene leading up to that jump is great. Of they're arguing, they're trapped. Like it is, they can either stand and inevitably die because they're being chased by this super posse that's been brought together by E.H. Harriman of the railroad to stop them from robbing his trains, and they're pinned down behind this rock and they're arguing about how they wound up there, and Butch looks down and sees the rapids below, and there's just a series of great lines there. That's where the next time I say let's go to a place like Bolivia, let's go someplace like Bolivia, he says, well, we're gonna have to jump for it, and Sundance is like, no, we can take him. It's like, and then that's when we find out that the Sundance Kid can't swim, and that's why he doesn't want to jump into the river, which leads to Paul Newman giving one of the all-time great cinematic laughs before saying, what are you, crazy? The fall will kill you. And then they run and they jump, and the oh from finale is that moment. So it's got a GMR touch to it too, in addition to just being great.
I really wish they would have kept the word, like the whole
yes
in the montage.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's already somewhat in the Great Movie Ride, but what scene would you put in our version of the ride?
Just because I want to see how they would pull it off from a technological standpoint. I want to see Paul Newman and Catherine something. Anyway, them on the bicycle with Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head playing. I want to see how they would pull that off with
Catherine
animatronics.
Ross.
Catherine Ross. Thank you.
Welcome.
You. That was going to bug me.
I was just about to come in. Thank you, Chris. Well, awesome. That's fun. I mean, I can't put any input at how if this were a bandage show, how it would take over. But cool.
I'm
that's a
sure.
fair point.
I'm sure the ride could take place of the bike, and you could steal the ride like they're taking.
Okay,
the bike.
so if we're turning it into the vehicle, the carjacking, then probably the better scene is one of the train robberies from early in the movie.
That's a good one. Yep. When
he's talking to, I'm blanking on the character's name. I just watched this not that long ago, where he's I'm on behalf of Mr. E.H. Harriman of the Union Pacific Railroad, and Butch keeps trying to get him to get out of the train car because they're gonna blow the doors off of the safe so they just do that and blow up the train car instead of the bank, and then Butch Cassidy hops on the vehicle and hijacks it. Yeah, that'd work.
I mean, if you like the bicycle scene, that's fine. We'll just hook it on, the bandit will come back, hook their bike on the back of the vehicle.
Just have a rack
push
like a
the ride
bus.
with the bike. That would be fun. By the way, Gabe, as someone who doesn't care for westerns much, I actually just read a review on Letterboxd that someone gave Butch Cassidy 4.5 stars. The review probably actually, wait, where'd it go? There it is. Yeah, 4.5 stars. People who say they hate westerns must have never seen Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Well, I never said I hated them. They just weren't my favorite.
I know.
Hate for.
I'm just saying, for someone
that
who
out there,
doesn't
okay?
care for them, recommend it.
I mean, I'm with you to a degree. Like westerns, all the genres on the ride, horror is probably my least favorite, but westerns are way up there. Like I've seen a lot of the classics that everybody swears by, and they're fine. Like,
see, I'm the opposite. When we had my episode before I joined on, we went on I feel like an hour and hour bit talking about how I would change Anubis to Scream and all that stuff.
Oh.
And meanwhile, my favorite westerns were
Back to the Future 3.
and 5 Goes West. So we'll jump over into the sci-fi and fantasy part of the ride and switch it up a little bit. I think we touched a lot of more like sci-fi stuff, and this one's more fantasy. And we already talked about it earlier. The Princess Bride.
Yes.
I mean, like I said, we talked about it earlier. Just, anything else you want to add about this movie before we go on into what scene you would add into the ride?
So when I was little, honestly, when I was little up until probably like mid to late teens, I was a huge wrestling fan. I still kind of keep up with it, but not to the degree that I did, at the height of Hulkamania. And one of my favorites was Andre the Giant. Like, he just didn't seem like he was an actual person. He was just this giant 7'4", 500-pound monster of a man. And then part of the reason I watched The Princess Bride, because, when you're a kid, Princess Bride, ew, that sounds like a girl movie. But then somebody told me, no, Andre the Giant is in it. It's like, oh, well, Andre wouldn't do anything bad. Forgetting every lesson I learned from, Suburban Commando and Mr. Nanny and, the film oeuvre of Hulk Hogan. And Andre is great in it. You can't understand a word he says because, he's in the early stages of dying of acromegaly. But, like, his, I don't know, just like his comedic timing for somebody that just, like, quite frankly, evolutionarily shouldn't exist. He's great. He's like just a great foil for Wallace Shawn and Mandy Patinkin. And he's like the epitome of a gentle giant. Like, you just move your head. Doesn't that make you happy? That's a horrible Andre the Giant impression.
I thought it was pretty good, actually.
No. I want the rest of this podcast to be an Andre the Giant.
Anybody want a peanut?
Awesome. So what scene would you replace Alien with?
Oh man, I don't want to replace Alien.
Okay, well, for this,
for the purposes of this.
It's the Great Movie Ride 2.
Right. Okay.
Electric
Okay.
Boogaloo.
Then the sword fight between Wesley and Inigo.
That's a good one.
Because I want to see, and again, so many of these are just like I want to see how they would pull this off. But the moment when they both like revealed that neither of them are left-handed, and they like the swords back and forth to their dominant hand.
So we're gonna move on to the action adventure, and Chris and I were talking before we brought you guys into the podcast, and I don't think we've done a Marvel movie. Not that I can remember.
Oh, really?
It's been so many episodes now, but we are excited to bring Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is my second favorite of the Captain America movies. I have to.
It's my favorite MCU movie completely.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, it's my number one.
It's definitely up there, and I love it. But I mean, Civil War to me, I was like,
it was good. Civil War was good.
It was good.
But Winter Soldier happened first
this,
and was awesome.
It was amazing, and just everything about it. Yeah. And I could go on, but I want you to go on because it's on your list.
The cool thing about Winter Soldier, like, a valid criticism that people levy at a lot of the MCU movies is that they all kind of have the same tone. They, especially the origin stories, all kind of hit the same beats. I mean, that's, they're coming from a tropey medium. Like, comic books tend to tell their stories in similar ways. So it's not weird that comic book movies do it. But then when you see something genuinely different come out of a superhero movie, like, Batman Begins in the Dark Knight, changed. Like, this was coming off the heels of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Like, it fundamentally changed the way Batman movies were made.
For sure.
And Winter Soldier took the characters that you'd already come to know and love through, Cap had been in his own movie and Avengers, and Black Widow had been in Iron Man 2 and Avengers, and, there was all the kind of interplay, but then you take those characters that you'd already established, and Nick Fury had been in everything, and you throw that into a like 70s style spy drama. Like, this was like 3 Days of the Condor with superheroes.
Thank you.
Like,
yes.
It's just, I mean, I there's not a lot I can say about it that isn't just going to be like effusive praise, but it's one of those like perfect casting. I mean, Chris Evans is just phenomenal, and it's really the first time his Captain America really got to be kind of the more modern Captain America, who, like, the Captain America from Civil War, like the one who kind of sees through. Can you swear on this podcast?
I can bleep it.
Okay, well, who sees through the bull
That's fine.
of everything around him. it's so good. Like it's twisty. Like, anybody that knows the comics knew who the Winter Soldier was. Like, it was, you were just waiting for the story to catch up to you, which honestly is the mark of a well-told spy story. Like, you should always be a couple steps ahead of, not necessarily James Bond, because his thing is finding the most random, obscure way out of a situation, MacGyver style, but with cooler gadgets. But it just seemed like Captain America, like, having to piece together this massive conspiracy. Like, Hydra has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. And then, again, to see that paid off in Endgame in the
Yes.
time hopping scene. I love that. When they kind of nod to the elevator scene.
Yes.
Which, by the way,
Yes.
I'm assuming that question is coming. It's 100% the elevator
Yes!
Well
done.
Part of me was like, I hope he says elevator scene. Again,
It is.
my episode.
It would be either that or him trying to pull the helicopter back onto the helipad.
We should do both so we can get the bicep shot. Animatronic bicep
It's just
shot.
a giant. It's like Confrontation at Universal, like the giant King Kong, but it's just
giant Chris Evans arm.
bicep, and you're like, what is going on in this scene? Meanwhile, the gangster's still doing the twist on the vehicle.
Welcome to Chris Evans' Chest and Muscles, the ride.
No, but yeah, I just, it has those old feels, and it's that whole, like, Captain America knows the good in Bucky, but he's, like, evil now, and he's been brainwashed and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, man, it's, again, it's not my favorite one of the three, but it's definitely up there, and it holds its own as just a movie itself, and it's great. It's great.
It's one of the few MCU movies starting in Phase 2 that you can just watch by itself. Most of the movies post the first Avengers, you have to go back through backstory. It helps with Winter Soldier, but Winter Soldier stands alone as its own. Like you said, Gabe, it's very much its own thing in the larger world. Plus, it's got Robert Redford. So how much more 70s action spy can you get?
It's
Exactly.
wonderful. I love how, and I haven't been caught up with the show, but how the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series handled the fallout of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
It was like you got a little bit more of the movie into the show. And I always love how they intertwined, which is why I need to catch up with it. I need to see how they intertwined with, like, Endgame and everything else and what they've done. I hear it's pretty interesting. But
I haven't seen any of this season yet.
Oh.
I'm caught up through the end of last season, but I haven't seen.
I haven't watched
the new
anything
episodes.
since whatever. I think it was season 5, the first episode with Ghost Rider. That's the last any of it I've seen.
Oh wow! Okay,
So
yeah,
I've got
you've
some catching
stuff
up to
catch
do.
up on.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
What? It's been known. It's been a thing, man.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard to build a captivating cat and mouse story. But
Yes.
that was our first Russo brothers Marvel movie. And they, like you were saying, they not only brought us a wonderful superhero story, but they brought an intriguing, thrilling, twisty cat and mouse story that on its own could be... That's why it's my favorite one. I mean, everything built around... Everything that led up to Winter Soldier and everything that happened since Winter Soldier, I feel like it was like the middle ground for everything in the MCU. And
yeah, it was a tipping, like a narrative tipping point.
Yeah, and
for
ever after Winter Soldier happened, everything just went like bonkers in a good way for the MCU. And oh my god, what a movie! I'm with you till the end of the line, pal. Oh god, on your left. Oh man, I laugh at that every time. It's so good.
Well, I guess you already said that it's it's going to be the elevator scene, so I guess that's farewell to me as the gangster as I go up the stairs to Anubis to grab the Royale with cheese as I do the twist.
But the Royale is guarded by a curse. And those who dare defy that curse must smother it with mayo.
The worst condiment.
Or ranch.
Well, don't they talk about in Pulp Fiction?
Yeah. I can't stand mayo.
Oh.
So
fries with ranch, that's good times.
Yeah.
Sweet potato fries with ranch. Mwah.
Oh.
Newman's ranch.
Fair enough. Yeah, they get the Newman's Own. There you go.
Newman's Own, of course.
Awesome. And then we're going to talk about my favorite movie genre. The horror movies. And we're going to talk about The Cabin in the Woods.
Yes!
I was so hoping that was going to be the one you would pick from the list.
Well, I mean, it's number one.
I didn't know what other people... I have listened to many episodes of the show. I haven't listened to every episode, so I just wanted to make sure nobody had beat me to it.
Gabe and I premeditated some ideas for how this could play into the tour guide and the character having their fallout, I guess we could say. So we'll let you get into it, of course, but I'm excited to talk about like what Gabe and I talked about before we recorded, because there's some fun ideas.
For sure. But yeah, talk about the movie, why it's your favorite horror movie, even though you said you don't like horror movies.
I typically don't, because... And the reason I like this one is because it does this part of it that most horror movies don't do well for me, which is surprise me. Horror movies, I'm not jump scares just don't really do anything for me. And, like, gore, I admittedly have kind of a weak stomach when it comes to gore. So, like, basically anything Eli Roth has ever made is just... I don't get anything out of that. Any of the Saw movies after the first one just don't do anything for me. But even though those movies are genuinely surprising in the some of the plot twists, but Cabin in the Woods takes... I mean, it takes Evil Dead. It takes, like, the tropiest trope to ever trope in horror movies. A bunch of teenagers in the woods, in a cabin. They named the movie after it. But then... Oh, man, this is one of those movies, like, I have spoiled so many movies in this conversation, and I really don't want to.
Do it. It's okay. It's okay. It's been out like, what, 10?
9 years.
I was going to say 9 or 10 years. Do it.
Okay, this one I will actually give a spoiler warning for. If you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods yet, watch Cabin in the Woods, because this is going to screw you up way more than finding out John Travolta got shot on the toilet by Bruce Willis.
Yes.
Okay, give me a second, because I haven't seen Cabin in the Woods.
Have you really not seen Cabin in the Woods?
No. Don't hate me. So, all right.
Okay, so... Really?
I'm gonna take my headphones off, and then somebody write in the comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you know when he's done.
So the big twist in the Cabin in the Woods is that these kids have all been brought to this place by a shadowy organization who I don't remember however many years it is.
It's like every 20 or so years.
I think it's every 20-something years.
Yeah.
They basically have to offer up a sacrifice to the ancient ones who built the world, so that they don't destroy the world. Basically, it's, they're sacrificing them to the devil. But in the cabin are hundreds of different horror cliches and not at all cliches that they could summon to be the cause of their death. In this case, they read from the book that summons the undead hillbilly murderers, but, Bradley Whitford's character was really hoping it was going to be mermen. There's just so many great little Easter eggs that then culminates in this amazing finale where two of the kids escape essentially the simulation and turn all of the monsters that they were hoping to kill them loose on the people, bringing about the end of the world. And it is just the moment the movie starts with Brad Whitford and Richard Jenkins, right?
Yeah, it was Richard Jenkins.
In their, like, in the shadowy organization office, just chatting, like, water cooler chat, and then you start to find out that, oh no, they're manipulating this whole thing. They're pumping pheromones into this cabin so that they will be the, cliche, horny, drunken teenagers, and will do all of the things that get teenagers killed in horror movies, not realizing that the nerdy kid figures it out, and him and the final girl escape the... I don't know. It's, again...
Well, they do and they don't, because...
Well, they do, and they escape the cabin. They escape the world of the cabin, but then, by not dying, everybody dies because hell comes to Earth.
Oh my god. And I love that part when that happens and it just goes to the credits, and Nine Inch Nails... Is it Last? Yeah, it's Last. I love that album, the Broken album. It's one of my favorite rock albums of all time. And I had my 6-screen theater in Ohio. It came out, and I don't want... at the time, I wasn't watching a lot of horror movies. I used to be the same as you. My wife has really got me into more and more as we've been together over the years. But you watch that part, and just how twisty it was and how it played on the cliches, like you said. And then the ending happened, and the Nine Inch Nails Last came on. I was just like, hell yeah, what a movie! What a fun twist on this whole thing. And I think that planted the seed for me to get into more horror movies slowly. I mean, Army of Darkness a long time ago really planted that, but that movie kind of like nudged me over the edge. You should try some more of these. And so I was a little more open to it.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring it back. Oh, we can probably tell Gabe that it's safe to come back. Because I think I'm done spoilering.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Was I really loud?
All I heard was, I love that part, especially when it rolled into the credits.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's all you heard.
The ending is definitely not something you wanted to have spoiled.
No.
But it's funny, you had just brought up like Army of Darkness. Those are the kinds of horror movies I like. The ones that take what you know about horror movies and the stuff that you may not like about horror movies, like me, and turn it on its ear. Like Scream, Army of Darkness, like Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Like, that's, it's such a weird, like...
I also love that one, too.
It's still a Freddy movie, but it's Freddy and Heather Langenkamp instead of, I'm blanking on what her character's name was, but it's that, just like taking what you know and what you expect and giving you something entirely different. That's my horror sweet spot. And The Cabin in the Woods is 100%, that scratches that itch for me.
Now, what scene you're planning to put on the ride, is it going to spoil anything for him? Does he need to leave again?
It will, but don't leave, Gabe. It is something I already talked about. It's the ending before the ending, if that makes sense. It's where everything happens all at once. That would be what I would put in there.
Okay, so you were just he won't know.
Yeah, but that's specific enough where people who have seen the movie know what I'm talking about, but anybody who doesn't.
Gabe, you got a week to watch Cabin in the Woods. Homework, or else spoiled. Everything will be spoiled for you if you go to listen to this next week.
Chris, you know I don't listen to the podcast ever since I've been on because I hate hearing my voice.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? I couldn't hear your voice. No, I'm just kidding.
The Great Movie Ride Quarantine.
So anyway, now this is the actual appropriate time for me to continue on doing the twist all the way up the stairs.
Oh, that jewel is guarded by a curse.
Yes.
You meant that one.
Yes.
The burger was fine.
The burger was fine. It was very delicious. Could have used more mayo, but It's fine.
That is a tasty burger.
So even though Gabe hasn't seen Cabin in the Woods, I feel bad now because there are multiple monsters in Cabin in the Woods, and I already told him that. So
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's not going to.
So that's
an idea that I had was the tour guide coming out to take the ride back. We're not just going to have robes. We're going to have 10 different monster costumes back there, and you get to choose what monster you come out as, and whatever the scene is, whatever we end up doing, or it could, depending on what costume you take, the character has to act with that murder, that type of kill. I think that would be very interactive and would always make it fun.
See, I was foreseeing it more as like Poseidon's Fury.
Oh, okay.
And having it be like the live but a show like that where it's the live person interacting with like a wraparound screen of all of the creatures, and then the tour guide like slips out of that.
Huh.
Yeah, I think that's the CDC would approve of that one, not your idea.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
By the way, I looked it up. By the way, the Just Watch app is incredible. It's I don't know if you guys are aware of it. It's a streaming service aggregator. So you can just punch in the title of a movie and it tells you every streaming service that has it. Cabin in the Woods is on both Prime and Hulu. So if you have either or both of those.
I might have the digital copy too, Gabe, so I'll have to look at that for you.
You sent me a lot of digital copies, and I'm not going to lie, I have not watched it.
You are
the worst. I know. Thank you so much.
Well, now that I've taken the ride back, huzzah! We're going to go into drama, romance. Ooh. And we're going to talk about, because your top three, which I'll name them because they're great. Casablanca, of course, is your favorite. Shawshank Redemption, and E.T. Those are wonderful. But we have never talked about The Social Network on the podcast. And the other three have been talked about in some fashion. And I always try to keep it fresh and talk about movies we haven't talked about before. I really like this movie. And now going into recording this episode with you, I know you really like Aaron Sorkin. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So what about The Social Network, other than Aaron Sorkin? Kidding, you could talk about him. What about this movie makes it a favorite drama for you?
It's, anytime you try to make like a, best of the decade or whatever kind of list, like that's almost impossible, right? Like when 2019 was wrapping up and everybody was doing their best movies of the 2010s, it's like, okay, like there were a lot of really great movies that came out the last decade. Like I loved Whiplash. I really liked, Birdman. I really liked Inception.
I was going to say that has to be on the list, that one.
Like there's a lot of great movies that came out, but the one that kept coming to mind and I just couldn't seem to shake was that I think my favorite movie of that decade was The Social Network. And it's the most kind of time capsule of our modern world movie that I think has been made yet, and it's 10 years old. But like seeing how like we all now know what social media is and does and leads to, but like seeing like the downfall of modern democracy all started because a nerdy kid got broke up with by one of the Mara sisters. And, put together, just like the way it's told, say what you will about Sorkin dialogue. I know he's not for everybody. The reason I write is because of an episode of Sports Night that came out in 1999 called The Quality of Mercy at 29K. It's incredible. West Wing is one of the greatest shows of all time. But the way in a lot of Sorkin shows and movies, valid criticism, characters kind of sound the same. But I think that's that kind of playwright element to him, right? Because he started on the stage. And playwrights have a voice. Like, a Mamet play, even if Mamet characters all kind of sound just like Mamet. But I feel like The Social Network is the best he's done in giving... It still feels like a Sorkin script, but the way that it's told is very un-Sorkin, if that makes sense. It's got that sort of Pulp Fiction time manipulation a little bit. Not quite as much.
No, I'm with
but
you.
There's the back and forth between, him at college, building Face Match, and then the Facebook, and then dropping the it's cleaner, and then, but bouncing forward to his lawsuit, where the Winklevi are suing him, and he's with, Rashida Jones, and all of that. Just like, it's just masterful storytelling, and it's really good lead performances out of Jesse Eisenberg.
So many breakout roles from that movie.
Andrew Garfield and shoot, why am I blanking on his name?
Justin Timberlake.
Well, Justin Timberlake was great. I love the fact that the guy who played the founder of Napster in the movie about the founding of Facebook eventually bought MySpace. That's one of those. I love that. Why am I blanking on his name?
You blanked on Justin Timberlake's name?
No. I remember Justin Timberlake. I'm blanking on the guy who played the Winklevosses. Armie Hammer.
Yeah, Armie Hammer. He's the
go.
kid of the Arm and Hammer empire,
That's
which
right.
is true.
Yeah. But yeah, it's and whichever Mara sister it is.
Yeah, Rooney Mara.
Rooney, yeah. It's not Kate, it's the other one. Because Kate's the one that Kevin Spacey pushed in front of a train on House of Cards. Sorry, spoilers for
Never
House of
seen House of Cards. Thanks.
Cards. It's fine.
How dare you?
I know. Oh, they were
but-
they're related to the Maras that
The
own
Patriots owner.
Yeah.
Or the Steelers
No, I
owner.
was gonna say Steelers, not Patriots.
Yeah.
God no.
But yeah,
No, Jesse Eisenberg's portray. Like, I feel like in a lot of the movies he's very much the same. He has that quick, witty banter. But his portrayal as Mark Zuckerberg and that banter that he has was perfect. Like, I just watched it last week, and I'm like, he's just so quick, and it's not like he's trying to be comedic about it. He's just being a smartass about it, and it's a different kind of banter, and it worked perfectly for this movie.
yeah, he's the kind of main character you don't get anymore, but I feel like it's the kind of main character that a Brando would have played in the 50s, where he's not even an anti-hero. This is a deeply flawed, deeply unlikable person, but you also are kind of pulling for him, even though he's ruined every relationship he's ever had with anybody he's ever come across.
Yeah.
But there's that spark in him that's no, just be better, Mark. Don't do this. I don't know. Plus, we were talking about 9 Inch Nails.
Yes, I was hoping you'd
The
bring up
Cabin in the
Reznor.
Woods. Trent Reznor's score
Yes.
for Social Network is phenomenal. And
What's really weird is you can make a sequel of Social Network now, and it'd be a whole different movie now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you could basically do a, kind of spin off both Social Network and the handful of Snowden movies that all
The
came out at
Emoji
the same
movie.
time.
Oh, sorry.
Or yeah, and the B movie. And movie 43.
Yikes.
It's a shared cinematic universe.
Oh God.
With the comebacks.
No, when you look at Zuckerberg now and what he's dealing with all the antitrust suits, you can make a whole different movie just based on that.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then that's not even getting into his, questionable political well, we're not going to censor this, but we're going to censor that. All of that weirdness.
But the movie would be censored, so we can't show it. Or
That's true.
Yeah. So
That is true.
there you go. What scene from Social Network would you put on the ride? Because there's so many great, memorable scenes of
There really are.
Jesse
Becky does a great
Eisenberg
job with
as
it.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Right. It's hard because as compelling as the movie is, there's not really a standout scene from a visual standpoint. There's not really most of the movies we've talked about, there's a thing you can point to and be oh yeah, there's that scene. There's Inigo and the Man in Black sword fighting on top of the Cliffs of Despair. Cliffs of Despair? Cliffs of Madness. Cliffs of Insanity. There it is. I knew I'd get there eventually. The Pit of Despair. But I can't... There's nothing coming immediately. I don't want to do the restaurant scene from the beginning. Also, back to the Beatles. Baby You're a Rich Man plays over the closing credits.
That's right.
But
It's all coming together.
yeah,
I was thinking,
I thought this out in advance.
and this is me. I know it's not as captivating or as dramatic, but it's got this undertone of foreshadowing. Him walking the campus with Reznor and Ross's score just buzzing was always like, I don't know. It just immediately took me in. Nothing was happening. He's just walking through campus, and literally all this is about to go down. Like the whole movie.
The score puts you on edge.
It
before you know why you're on edge.
Exactly, and that moment for me was like, I classify it as one of the best cinematic intros of all time.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous piece of filmmaking.
Yeah,
I guess probably the most visually interesting part is when Brenda Song, is that her name? That plays his girlfriend, sets the bed on fire.
Oh,
that's probably the most interesting visual scene in the movie. But is it GMR worthy?
Yeah, I don't. It's weird because like
this whole movie,
there's not like a specific scene like most movies have.
Yeah.
So to me, all I'm thinking is just like you see the back of Jesse Eisenberg sitting in his dorm room on the computer, and that's all you see is just you hear clack,
this
clack,
isn't
clack, and the screen
like Steve Jobs on Spaceship
I was just about to say this is just like that.
Like I think it's weird because Casablanca was this big scene. You have the airplane, the umbrella, they're there talking and stuff like that. But I think because that scene doesn't have, and like that movie doesn't have a scene like that.
Yeah.
Like I think you talk about, like you would ride through talk about the movie, and that's all you need to know. Because I mean, that's all we do now. Is like we're sitting in front of a computer, type. So.
Or the Winklevoss twins rowing crew to In the Hall of the Mountain King.
The Hall of the Mountain King. That song.
There was an Atari game called Mountain King that had that as its background music.
Really?
It scared the crap out of me.
I did not know that.
You have not lived until you've heard In the Hall of the Mountain King rendered in 4 bits coming out of an Atari. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
There you go.
It's one of the first horror games I can ever remember playing.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah,
it's tough. This is a tough movie
really
to pin a
This
scene.
is a really hard one.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe him, just kind of similar to him at the computer, but him at the, when he's like at the law firm sitting at the table across from everybody who's suing him. And it can be kind of like a couple, because he's been at the table sitting across multiple people who are suing him. So it could be this transition of, when you're coming around the corner, it's the twins, and then as it continues, it's the different segments all at like on one table, and him just sitting at it. That's an idea that came to mind too.
Yeah, you could even have it that his chair, like it's a very long table, and his animatronics on a chair that moves along with the vehicle as he passes.
That's cool too.
Well, yeah, I mean, even doing that, you could continue to add more and more characters, like the dinner that he and Wardo have with Sean from Napster. Like so much of the best stuff in the movie happens at a table. The dinner sequence from the beginning where Rooney Mara breaks up with him, like that happens with 2 people sitting across from each other at a table. You could put together a whole like the ride just kind of follows. You could do like a Haunted Mansion trick of like or the butterfly on Imagination.
Yeah.
And just, have like, Wardo fades out and turns into the Winklevi, turns into Sean, turns into...
It's moments like this where I wish what we've put together on the show could actually be built for one of the, like, in the ride. Because that would be a fun sequence, a fun segment to actually build and create for the... That would be very, I don't know.
I've got it. We've had our spin-offs and other episodes, so the Social Network... have to row through each scene.
You row crew through the movie.
You row crew through every scene, and it's just one giant track, and it's just a table.
So it's basically like the virtual jungle cruise from Disney Quest. You're just doing the...
I think that the Social Network of the ride is really what Spaceship Earth should be.
Yeah.
It might as
I'd down
well
for that.
be.
All right.
It might as well be.
Disney, you heard it here
There
first.
you go. We're just going to put Spaceship Earth in the drama section and move on. There we go. Your favorite animated movie is somehow one we haven't talked about through 17 episodes of the Great Movie Radio Show, The Lion King.
How has nobody said Lion
It's
King?
been on lists, but other ones have been on top, and we just haven't gotten to it. So now we have.
And
we
I-
saved it for you.
Well, that's very
we
kind
did,
of
and
you.
I think it's that plus the fact that people talk about Lion King, and for some reason everybody's mind immediately goes to like the live action remake, and you're just like,
Which
why-
I
why-
cannot feel the love today. Because that movie, that scene took place during the day, not at night. It could have been the evening, but it wasn't enough. It's not Can You Feel the Love This Evening.
Can you feel the love right now?
Yeah. As
Not the
revolutionary as the technology that went into that, I was kind of saddened by Favreau's play on that. But the original, the classic animated Lion King is so good, and it inspired movies like Black Panther. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it for a second. Really did. What about The Lion King resonates with you, and what makes it your favorite animated feature of all time?
All right, hold on 1 second. So I actually thought about that, and I was gonna make a Hamlet Lion King reference, but like Hamlet's pretty close to Black Panther too.
Yeah. First of all, it's gorgeous. Like it has some of the best animation of any animated movie ever. Just the pure like look of it all. It's just spectacular. It has all-time great soundtrack. I already talked about, I love Elton John, and Elton John scoring a gorgeous Disney movie. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Who doesn't love Elton John?
I don't know how you could. I mean, could not.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
But it
that's
also
Elton
has...
John. We hate him.
But it also has, like, an all-time great Disney villain in Scar, all-time great Disney villain henchman in the Hyenas, maybe the greatest voice of all time, James Earl Jones, as Mufasa.
Oh my god.
It's just... And it's, it's, like you were talking, it's Shakespearean in scope. The amount of emotion that they can pull from, again, spoilers for Lion King, which came out 26 years ago, but the stampede scene, like, you don't see any of it. You're seeing the whole thing through Simba's eyes, where he's just, like, clutching to the branch for dear life, and his uncle is trying to, acting like he wants to... he wants to help him, but not realizing that he's like just killed his own brother / Simba's father, and then seeing Simba, like, that realization hit Simba as he goes and like tries to wake Mufasa up. Like, it's Lion King. Matt and I were talking on the phone earlier about Up. Like, the what you can do with very little dialogue in an animated movie to elicit emotional response. Lion King does that about as well as anything Disney's ever done, and it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, if you don't cry when Mufasa dies, then there's something wrong with you, and I'm concerned about you. But no, because to Pat's point is that you're not watching Mufasa die. You're watching Simba react to Mufasa die,
Yeah.
and that's what's heartbreaking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he doesn't even see it happen. He only sees him down. Like, you see the realization that he has died, not the moment of his death.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just... it breaks your heart.
I'm about to start crying right now. So that's the scene we're putting on the ride and handing out tissues for, right?
I mean, is there anything more visually impressive than the wildebeest stampede? I mean, honestly, it's probably going to be
The opening is
the
like
Circle of Life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
It's going to be Rafiki on top of the
No.
Pride Rock holding baby Simba up.
Gabe's got
and
input.
all the other ends.
Gabe's got input. What do you got?
Yeah, I say we do that scene, and then you do it like the the Kilimanjaro bridge, where all of a sudden the force, like you lock into place and you park, and then all of a sudden the force starts shaking, and then you just like see them coming for you, and like what?
Oh,
the
no!
Like, the spotlight lights up, and you see Mufasa. Like it's like Mary Poppins going up and down, but it's just Mufasa falling.
Oh, dude, we're not just riding by the screen that was put over a tornado that didn't happen. You're talking about making it interactive. You are experiencing his
We
death.
don't have a budget.
Mike, dude, do you want to make kids cry on this ride? Because that's how you they're gonna scream.
Well,
well, that's our show, folks.
We've already taken Alien out. They gotta cry somewhere.
Yeah. Which reminds me, going back to where Alien was, I really think we should have had an Andre the Giant animatronic pop out at you in spirit of the alien coming out. I think it would have been hey, you want a pita? It would have been,
hello, lady.
Yeah. I thought about that earlier and forgot to mention it, and it just popped back in my head. It would have been great. But that was an interesting way. I also had in my head too, having both versions of Circle to Life, kind of like when we did Social Network, where you're with him and it phases throughout the movie. We can have it where on one angle you're witnessing the beginning Circle of Life, and then when you come around the corner, it phases into the ending Circle of Life.
Yeah,
that would be.
I dig that.
That would be cool, also, and probably less screaming from children as well.
Right. Because if you want more screaming, you could also do Be Prepared and have goose-stepping hyenas. But that might be a step too far.
That was another thing I thought that they didn't handle well with the live action.
No.
They tried. They made it tense, and they settled. I love Idris Elba, and I thought he voiced a good Scar, but what they should have done is old school technique. They should have had someone else sing for him that was similar vocally, and I think it would have been taken better. But they settled, and I was not happy about that.
Yeah, because "Be Prepared" is, top 5 Disney villain song ever.
Exactly.
For me. It's just so good, and it's a perfect encapsulation of what that character is all about. What would normally take a 4 or 5 minute dialogue scene, you get in a 2.5 minute long song.
Oh my god,
yeah, that's the mark of a good musical.
I agree. Well, we're going to ride into where Oz was, and as we've always said, this is where we talk about comedy. Comedy wasn't really, it wasn't a big focus on the ride. There were bits of comedy in multiple areas of the ride, but it never had its own section. So, since personally, I call Wizard of Oz a drama. I know some people classify it as a musical. It's all over the place. This is where we just talk about comedy so we can talk about it. And but we have the fun thing of taking a comedy and making it interactive, like Where the Witch Was and all that. So your number 1 movie, which is in your top 5, we've talked about it already, so we won't have to talk about it too much. But we will definitely take a scene from it, or scenes, is Airplane. And yes. I haven't seen Airplane in a long time. I know it's a favorite of yours, so you probably remember more about it than I do. I honestly cannot remember the last time I've seen Airplane. It was probably, it was over 15 years ago that I've seen Airplane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
You're due.
I'm due.
Hey, Pat, surely you've seen Airplane.
Oh, God.
I have seen Airplane, and don't call me Shirley. Yeah, there it is.
Walk
You guys are horrible. Okay, is there a way I can kick Cram out of this chat? No, I'm just kidding.
I have been trying for 13 years
to kick him out of your chat,
to get rid of that guy. And he just keeps coming back.
Yeah. The moment he said he was going to crash the episode, I was like, I guess that's cool.
Yeah, no, I call Pat every day. He's sick of me.
I mean, kinda.
So, do you have anything further on Airplane that you wanted to talk about, or anything that's popped in your head since we talked about it an hour or two ago?
Other than plugging that you can watch Cram on YouTube, which is our Airplane parody that takes place on the Great Movie Ride, with a large section of it taking place in Oz.
Hey, isn't it funny how everything comes together on the Great Movie Radio Show? That's what we're all about here, folks. If you can take anything away from our podcast over the first 17 episodes, it's that moment right there. You're
And
welcome.
hey, while you're on YouTube,
Circle
you can
of life.
check out the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition, which is debuting on YouTube tonight.
Yay! We are your precursor. We are your pre-show Oscars entertainment for the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition.
So,
Go ahead.
backtracking a bit
Yeah.
to how you were talking about how GMR does not have comedy, really explicitly anywhere other than some corny jokes in the spiel. I feel like comedy is just kind of a lost art in terms of like getting acclaim. You know what I mean? Like, you never see a comedy nominated. You maybe get like a supporting actress nomination for a comedy, like Bridesmaids a few years ago. Melissa McCarthy got a nomination for that.
Yeah.
Like that's about all you're gonna get in terms of like industry accolades for a comedy.
I agree with that too, because even the Globes, if you go to the Globes,
Yeah.
they've put drama or a comedy and musical together.
Comedy and musical are together.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
going to say.
Yeah.
Didn't The Martian get
The Martian
Best
and,
Actor for
And The Tourist,
And
the Johnny Depp, Angelina Jolie movie
What?
from a few years ago, was nominated for Best Comedy at the Golden Globes.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they won,
They
but
did.
wasn't Get Out nominated in that
It
same
was.
category
It
as
was
well?
indeed. Yeah.
And then he was like, that wasn't a comedy, that was a documentary. And I was like, ooh.
So, since we've talked about Airplane enough already, do you have a scene that you feel would be good for it, for the ride?
So here's what I'm picturing. Similar to what we've already done, because apparently this ride is just going to be super repetitive, with the camera following along through a scene. In this version, the entire Oz scene is the airplane. So you're going past each of the little vignettes of the characters. Like, instead of Munchkins, it's the two little kids drinking coffee, and the little girl says, I like
love
my
it.
coffee black like my men.
I think I know where this is going.
And then we get up to the cockpit, and because we need to have that interaction, right? You want to have the tour guide talking to the animatronic. So instead of Margaret Hamilton in her little Wicked Witch costume, instead you get 7'1" Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in a pilot outfit. Popped up. And the tour guide says, "Wait a minute, I know you. You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You play basketball for the Los Angeles Lakers." And the animatronic says, "I'm sorry, son, but you must have you confused with someone else. My name is Roger Murdoch. I'm the co-pilot." And you just do that entire scene. Like, "I think you're the greatest, but my dad says you don't work hard enough on defense." He says that lots of time you don't even run down court, and that you don't really try except during the playoffs. And then,
You ever seen a grown man naked?
"The hell I don't. Listen, kid, I've been hearing that crap ever since I was at UCLA." And then he, goes back down.
Oh,
Finale.
that would be wonderful. When you said going through I was like, I know where this is going. I know where this is going. Oh, that's exactly. Oh, that would be hysterical, and I think that would be a wonderful example of what we're trying to pull. Use the Oz area as a comedy segment.
Yeah.
And still keep it interactive and still keep it fresh. That would be amazing. I would love that. That would be a great end to the ride.
That's what I would, honestly, that's exactly
And
what I
then
was
as
thinking
you
about before.
as you start to go into the montage, it lights up where the Yellow Brick Road and on the Oz was, and there's the blow up doll.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Or the truck pouring every available light onto the runway.
That would be a good one, too. Well, now is usually where we would pull on Doc. But what we're going to do now is we're going to pull into Finale. Because we tend to skip Finale on the ride. We haven't found something to fill this spot with. Maybe we will next season. Who knows? But right
nap
now,
time.
this is the time where we're sitting here and we're all waiting for the finale video to come on. And we're going to tell you about, not the movies, but we're going to tell you about a movie, a project that we have worked on for months. And you've heard us talk about it through this entire episode, the last episode. The Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition is about to premiere on YouTube. And Pat and Cram are here because they have poured their heart and souls into this. This was an idea that both of them kind of had. And then Cram said, "I don't want to talk to Pat anymore about it. I'm just going to do it." And then it was on the internet. At least the story I've been told. and
that's not far off.
Tonight it's actually coming out. I have to ask, how do you guys feel from months ago having I think you said it was April 27th. I think I got the date right. I could be wrong. But
sounds about right. Yeah.
How does it feel from it being from April 27th to now? And now it's August 13th. Not while we're recording this, but it is. And it's about to go online. How does it feel?
I gotta say, it was definitely an idea. I had it in passing, and I got really excited and posted on Facebook. And luckily, Pat and then the production team took the lead, and they led the way with it, because after I posted it, I was like, oh my god, people are actually going to do this, and I got scared. But luckily, Pat was there, and the rest of the team was there, and they took the lead on it.
Yeah, it's like most great ideas, it started just a hey, wouldn't it be cool if, but then all of our ideas, it quickly spiraled out of control. It went from hey, it would be fun if we did this, got a few friends together and recorded GMR live, to hey, let's get 200 former movie writers to each contribute a few seconds of the ride, and then edit it all together using sound effects and music from the ride. And it went from hey, that's fun, that's a fun idea, to waking up the next morning to Matt having posted it on Facebook and having 130 notifications waiting for me. And just the abject terror of, well, I guess I have to do this now. But I mean, major shout out to Matt and I are actually missing a production meeting right now as we're recording this, which is fine because my part of it is essentially done. They're watching the footage that I submitted tonight, so to give me notes on what I need to update before the actual reveal.
Well, plus a production team has formed because and we don't have to be that meeting.
Yeah. Stephanie Madrigal and Kelly Groover stepped up huge. Matt and I, we brought the ball to the playground, but they were the ones that started the game. And then, we got, help off and on from, Gabriel McLeod and Sean Locke and Lindsay Taylor and Mark Stevens and Joshua Harris and John Capello and I've got Frosty Wolbrink. I know I'm forgetting people. Chris Schneider. I know I'm forgetting people, but it turned into a serious.
Well, there's
production.
200 people, Pat. You're allowed to forget a few.
There's credits for a reason.
True. That is true. I should have counted. I actually did the credits today. That was my final part of the project I had to do before I uploaded it to Dropbox for them all to look into it. Was the credits, and it was fun to see oh yeah, I totally forgot that in this tiny little clip and finale it's oh hey, that's April Butler, that's my daughter right there, cool. As I'm typing these names in, it's oh, look at all these people that I have no idea who they are because this ride existed for 28 years and I was there for 4. So I know a few people from before my time and I know a few people from after my time, just from the people that I worked with that worked with them. But it's just so cool to see, almost 3 decades worth of movie writers, kind of pull together for one last ride. And as horrible, we talk about at the top of the show, how horrible everything is right now. One good thing to come out of the pandemic was it brought our ride back for the summer. We got one last ride. And, so that's basically what I'm feeling right now is relief that I'm essentially done.
It's not even one last ride, Pat. It's one last ride that can last forever.
Right.
And we're posting it online. And so really what we're doing here is the great movie ride never closed. We are just, opening it back up.
It went down for a 3-year rehab. And we're bringing it back.
There you go.
It's wild. GMR is such a massive undertaking. It's the most ambitious attraction probably in any theme park ever. Like, it's, you know, it's not the most technologically advanced, but it probably has more moving parts than I can imagine anything else ever has. So many things that could go wrong and did go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And remind me, I do still have a couple of those stories for you.
We might have to save those for the next time we have you on.
Gene Kelly's head popped off and it squirted oil in?
Yeah, exactly. Or the squirrel that was on the witch's lift and jumped into a vehicle. Or the time Tim Walzak had to use his fire extinguisher to put out a snake that had caught fire in Raiders.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, these.
I heard that story before.
I've heard none of these, so they're new to me and pretty awesome.
This may just be an after the show conversation, but yeah, I mean, it was such a huge thing, and so many people were involved. And Matt and I were both there, 3-4 years apiece. It's easy to feel like just like a little cog in the machine, but there's just such a sense of accomplishment tonight. Is like I anybody that knows me will tell you, like, I really don't like being the center of attention. Like, I hate, and that's, part of the reason why I'm so grateful to Kelly and Steph and the gang for stepping up, is because, like, I was able to kind of let it go for a while until there was footage for me to edit. I didn't have to think about it. But now I've been thinking about nothing but it for weeks while I'm editing. And, like, I'm just so proud of it. I'm so proud that we were able to pull this off. That everybody did their part. That everybody did their part so well. Even if they had no budget. Like, there are people that, like, put clearly hours of work into their scene. And there are people that clearly just pointed a camera at themselves and went. And I love that. Like, it's very much a home-cooked version of the Great Movie Ride. And that's what I'm going to remember the ride as. Is, each of us bringing our own thing to the potluck. And it's... I don't know, it's just a wonderful thing. I'm so excited for people to see it tonight.
I only had the pleasure of working there for a year, but the one thing that I've grabbed from it and then doing this show is just all the wonderful stories of talking. Like, Pat, you and I never even worked together.
No?
And
no, you came in, 4 years after
I want to say, yeah. I want to say it was like 13. Was it 13, 14? It was either 13, 14, 14, 15. I can't remember. But I'm just being able to use this podcast outlet as a way to connect with people I didn't work with on the ride and reconnect with those I did, and all come together and as with something that we love. And Odin, which I'm going to quote a Marvel movie on a freaking movie podcast, out of all the movies in the world, but when he said in Thor Ragnarok that Asgard's not a place, it's people. I could say the same thing for the movie ride, that GMR is not a place, it's a people. And
yeah, I said the same thing in my little spiel that they made me do for the media.
we had to put together a press.
Did you really take the Odin quote too? It's correct though. It's absolutely true.
No. I said I get often asked, "Is this a ride?" And usually I would say yes with a grunt, like, "Of course it's a ride. It's a great movie ride, of course." But now I answer it differently. I say, is this a ride? No. It's something more. And this proves it.
I agree. Well, Gabe, do you have anything else to add before we let the premiere happen?
No, I'm just excited. I'm going to run and grab my Thanos mug and sit myself in the office, plop down, and watch the bad boy.
Awesome. Well, Pat and Cram, it's been a pleasure having you both on the show. And Pat, we'll definitely have you on again, and Cram, I'm sure we'll have you too. But for now, I want to put the focus on this. This is a project that's been months of the making, years in the making, really, thanks to the ride and everyone who worked it. We're going to go out kind of on a more quieter note. Usually we have some music behind me right now, but we're going to let what we're going to call finale for this episode happen. And pop over to YouTube, look up the page Once a Movie Writer, and you're going to see coming up here shortly the Great Movie Ride Quarantine Edition. Enjoy the project, enjoy the film, and thanks for listening to the Great Movie Radio Show. We'll see you next episode. The Great Movie Radio Show is recorded in Orlando, Florida. You can visit our website at www.thegmrshow.com. Art direction and logo design provided by Mr. Bayless. Voiceover and intro work provided by Dave Fesky and Joe Erickson. You can find our podcast on multiple platforms, such as Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. Music provided by the YouTube Audio Library. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Just search The Great Movie Radio Show or The GMR Show. This has been The Great Movie Radio Show. We hope you enjoy your day, and we'll see you at the movies, the stuff dreams are made of. Goodbye, everyone.
You have been listening to a GMR radio production.